There we go. Man, if you want to, you will. If you don't want to, then there's nothing we can do to help you. Isn't that true?
So true.
Man, what a day today has been. We're recording this on a Saturday. Because I got BSU, Ball State University, Alpha, Gamma, Delta, shout out to them. Dad's Day tomorrow with Megan. So I'm going to spend the day up with her. So won't have time in the morning to get a podcast out. So I said, hey, let's do it now, shall we? And Janine's like, let's do it Saturday morning. And we've been here all day.
Pretty much.
My computer just absolutely took a dive. We got here trying to get things going and it just acted like a dog. And I don't know, 3 hours of tech support with Apple and it's functioning, but I'm thinking the next tech support call is going to be to the sales team, right? I just can't deal. So we got to get rid of this. But yeah, the moral of the story is if you want to get it done, you're going to get it done. If you want to do something else, there's always plenty of other things to do. And that's so true here, right? So we set out today to get this thing done because I am committed to getting it done once a week. And I know I can't do it tomorrow. So here we are getting it done right now. So that's the game plan. So anything else going on? Catching up with you? You've been busy week. We had the water heater explosion. We had
nice hotel stay with the dog.
Yeah, that was important to me to take care of you in that sense. I know, I posted about it on Connect and put it on Facebook as well, I think, right? But we had this opportunity not opportunity, but I guess this scenario where our water heater decided it wasn't going to operate and was leaking. It was drip, 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 drip all through the garage, made a big mess. And the repair guy came over to look at it, and he basically said, yeah, this is going to have to be replaced tonight. And long story short, I'll shorten it for the sake of the podcast, but around 7 o'clock, he left to get the parts PM, came back around 9:30-ish, and I told Janine, I'm like, listen, because of the way this thing was installed, he had to cut the heat off. He had to cut the hot water off. And, there's no guarantee we were going to get heat and hot water. And we were supposed to have a record low temperature that evening. And so I knew that, Janine had to go to work in the morning. I work from home. I would have been okay. But she deals with kindergarten kids all day long. There's no way you can face that day with a cold shower and waking up chilly. You're never going to ever recoup from that. So I made the decision around 9:30 that I was taking you to a hotel, and the dog, of course, too. So, because the dog gets spoiled. But I made that decision, in hindsight being 2020, we would have survived had we not done that, right? It was maybe a touch premature, but the challenge was we didn't get done installing the water heater till around 2:30 in the morning. That was the first chance we had to test it. And so if at 2:30 in the morning it didn't work, now you're tired. Now you're going to get about 3 hours worth of sleep. You're going to wake up to no hot water, no heat in the house. I don't know. I just didn't want to be around you if that was going to be the case.
That would have been ugly.
Right. So I made the decision, send you off to the hotel. So I kind of posted a little bit about that. And kind of what I was getting at is there comes a point in this process where you have to make a decision. And one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to misquote it because it's that one. It's not my favorite quote, I guess. But one of the things I've heard a lot that I like is, a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to make the right decision. When in reality, what we need to do is make a decision and then spend a lot of time making that decision right, making it the right decision for you. And so, lack of indecision can really derail us. And so in this journey is the same way, like just make a decision. If you make a decision with the right things in mind and with some calculated risk, things probably turn out okay. So I'm going to guess, did the hotel turn out okay?
It was great. Rue loved it. She had 2 beds to sleep in. We had no tub. You were very disappointed about that. Yeah. That was half the battle to get me there was you can take a nice warm tub. And then there was no tub. But they did have TV and snacks and warm, comfortable bed. The dog and I had a great time.
I did really want, honestly, part of my decision is I thought, because now that we're in this rental house, I thought that the bathtub in our rental house isn't ideal. I get it. Maybe with the new water heater, it'll be better. We'll see. But it's still not ideal. I get it. I get it. So my thought was I would go to this nice swanky hotel. They'll have a beautiful bathtub. I saw the pictures of their bathtub online. But the room we got had a stand-up shower, beautiful shower, but a stand-up shower. So I want you to know, I did look into that in that hotel, the rooms with the shower, with the bathtub. I did find out that they have some. So I know how to make that request next time so that you can get a room with a bathtub.
I'll be sure to knock over the water heater when we get home.
Those rooms were $1,100 a night.
Rue's worth it.
No, not so much. Hey guys, I got a great email from Cathy. Cathy wrote in and talks a little bit about her journey. I want to share that with you in just a minute, but want to also let you know that we got the podcast goes out everywhere, right? Goes out into Apple iTunes, goes out into podcast land, into Stitcher, into iHeartRadio. Also goes into the Wise Advice app. If you don't have that, go ahead and get that. It's in your app store now. It's been there. If you had it before, just go ahead and re-download it. And I'm going to start releasing the podcast to the app first, and then a couple of days later, letting it release to the other mediums. And honestly, that's my way to get you into the app first. I think the reasoning for that is there's a couple reasons, but the biggest reason is I want this thing to live on our phone so that it's a visual cue. And you're going to hear about that in this email from Cathy in a little bit. It's just, something that you, as you're scrolling through your phone aimlessly, it's something that pops in that it should remind you that, oh yeah, I need to listen because that helped me at one point in my journey. And I want to get back to that scenario. So go ahead and find it. Wise Advice with FatDag. It's in your app store. Go ahead and get that downloaded and we'll take good care of you. So anything else, babe?
I don't think so. We're just gearing up for November, gearing up for Dad's Day tomorrow. It's big excitement.
Yeah.
Get to be a part of the sorority girl life for a little bit. You'll fit right in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, well, let's go ahead and do this. So comes in from Cathy. Cathy writes in, she says, Dear FatDag, hey, I've written many emails in my head, but I've never followed through with sending one in for the program until now. Over the years, I was a WW member, but I never got to goal until September 10th, 2001. Well, everyone knows what happened the very next day, 9/11. Like all of the nation, I was horrified and traumatized, and I was worried about my Air Force pilot son going into the Middle East. I lost my focus, and I gained all the weight back, plus more. By the way, my son is fine. He's now retired after a great career with the Air Force. In late 2017, when WW came out with their new program, I knew that the time was right to finally do something about my weight. I was at an all-time high, and I was miserable. I found FatDag and listened to the podcast as I walked almost every single day. I enjoyed the support of the Wise Wingman Facebook page. Everything clicked, and a year later, I had lost over 60 pounds and felt amazing. I was energetic, happy, and enjoying wearing cuter clothes. I maintained for over a year. Then COVID hit, and I let all the stress of 2020 derail me. When I finally got brave enough to step on the scale, I had gained 45 pounds back. So here I am, October 2021. I was able to regain my focus in July when I ran across a picture of myself at goal, and it made me remember that healthy, confident feeling, and I wanted it back. I have tracked every day since then, and the weight is steadily coming off. We even took a 3-week trip out west tent camping, which was very active and amazing. I stayed on the program the whole time, and the increased activity let me enjoy some vacation treats every now and then. I'm back in Wonderland. I have 25 pounds to lose to return to goal. I don't have a time frame for when I hope to achieve that. I was wondering if, for me, an end date goal tells my brain that what I'm doing is just temporary. I'm hoping that if I keep doing the right things, or at least most of the time, the results will come and stay. What always derails me, though, is that I start slipping and I lose my focus. It starts with not being honest with my tracking. A handful of M&Ms here, an extra piece of bread there. Then I get lazy and I give in to staying on the couch rather than going for my daily walk. Then I start forgetting to track. Before I know it, the pounds start accumulating again, and I refuse to face the number on the scale. It seems that if I am not actively focused on losing, well, then I'm actively gaining. I haven't found a way to keep my focus for maintenance. I sure would like to figure that out this time. Welcome back, FatDag. Thank you for being there for us, and I hope we can be a support system for you too. We all need each other on this journey. And that comes in from Cathy out of Georgia. Oh, Cathy. Yeah. Lots to unpack in your email, and, excited that you took the time to write in. I think your opening sentence, I think a lot of people have written that part, right? I've written this email in my head a million times and I've just yet to send it in. And I want to thank you for sending it in. I think that's one of the challenges for us, right? And, when we go through, the 5 questions that I kind of outline as to helping you understand and discover your why, I make it pretty clear that I want you not to just think about it. I want you to write it down. And I'm even going so far as saying use a pen and a piece of paper and write it down, physically write it down. Because I do believe something happens from the time that, thinking about it in your head versus getting it out of your head and onto paper and then seeing it with your eyes. There's something a little bit different about that. And so I applaud you for taking that step here. And I know it takes a little bit of courage because you kind of got to put yourself out there. And I get that the podcast is relatively anonymous, right? There's not a lot of people going to be able to Google Cathy in Georgia and figure out exactly who you are, right? So there is some, anonymity. What's the word, Janine?
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Thank you. There's a lot of anonymity to the podcast side of it. But nonetheless, we believe that the whole world knows exactly who it's coming from, right? And so we don't want that kind of light shown on us. So again, I thank you for your courage and sharing. That's how the rest of us learn and grow, is from sharing that with each other. So a big salute to your son. Hats off to him, and what a great patriot serving this nation. We know firsthand that even though the military member does a lot of the deployment, the entire family does the service and the sacrifice. So thank him for that, for just stepping up and answering the call that our nation has asked him to do. I have a very special place in my heart always for that. I do want to hone in on the part of your email, though, where you talked about in 2017 when you finally got refocused for another time. Getting back to goal back in 2001 and then up to 2017, there's some time frame in there, right? And so something back in 2017 brought you back. And, WW came out with a new program. And if you've been following WW for years, you know that every other year or so, WW comes out with a new program. I mentioned it on the last episode 312, where I talked about, here's a $1 billion company that doesn't have the answer to weight loss. And so they have scientists, they have research, they have all stuff, and, they believe they have the answer, and I give them a lot of credit, I do. But the fact that they keep changing is indicative of the fact that our world keeps changing and the food choices keep changing and society keeps changing. So there isn't a single program that works for every single person and it will work for the rest of their life. It's a combination of doing something every single time. The way they get us back into the groove is by coming out with a new program. And so if we did one program and had success or didn't have success, when they launch something new, it gives us that kind of desire to just go try again, right? To get refocused. And that's what you did in 2017. And when you wrote in your email that you were at an all-time high and you felt miserable, I think those feelings draw a lot of us in. Right? We then maybe look back at clothes we should have wore or used to wear, and we had pictures of us at goal. Those kind of memory devices, they jog us back and going, okay, at one point I was really happy. I'm not now. I used to look like this. I don't now. And as I opened the show and I talked about that, that's, part of that reason is putting that app on your phone is it's one more thing to remind you that you have support, you have a team, you have a plan, and you can do it. So when you started doing all that stuff back then, I want you to look in now and say, how does that compare to where you are now? And, and right now, as you fast forward, you're well back on track. And I think that's amazing. I think, hats off to you. You don't lose weight accidentally. You lose weight by being deliberately focused, and you're back there. And, when you wrote in and said, I was able to regain my focus back in July because you saw a picture of yourself, that goal, I guess, and you remember that healthy feeling. And what I circled was, and I wanted it back, meaning I am willing to fight to get there again. And I think so many of us need to find that fight, right? We have no problem with fighting with strangers on Facebook. We have no problem with fighting with strangers on Instagram. At some point, though, we need to fight for ourselves. right? Hey, I want it back. I know I'm capable. I know I had this ability. I want that back, damn it. Someone took it from me. Something took it from me, whatever the scenario is. And I'm asking the rest of you right now, are you willing to fight to get it back? And what does that fight look like for you? So I want you to dig deeper back into that. And, congrats on getting back into Wonderland, 25 pounds left to go. That's fantastic. I love that you're doing some introspective thinking about looking about how does my brain treat this journey, and if you say, hey, if there's an end goal or end weight, does that give me permission to kind of go back to the, a little bit here, a little bit there? And that's such a slippery slope. And so many of us fall into that. You think about, you probably heard me say this on a previous episode, right? Is, there isn't a single person that's walked into a restaurant, had too much to eat, and the pants they walked in with didn't fit, so they had to change clothes before they could walk out, right? So that's what I talk about that. What I'm trying to get you to think about is that slippery slope doesn't change the scale, doesn't change the clothes you're wearing, doesn't change how you feel. So the handful of M&Ms, the extra loaf of bread, the little bit here and there, at a single instance, has no bearing on the scale, on your clothes, on anything. But what it does do is takes your brain into a place where you go, okay, hang on, that was okay. I can do this. I can do a little more. And it turns into a slippery slope that we must stay focused, disciplined, and looking towards the future of, hey, what's the bigger goal here? What can I get done? And so your last paragraph sums it up absolutely beautifully, where it says, it seems that if I'm not actively focused on losing, I'm actively gaining. And kind of has Janine worded it last like, failing to plan is planning to fail. So it's kind of that almost the exact same analogy. So.
Yeah. And I love how Cathy, I love how you talked about, you have Connect, you have the Wingman, you have the podcast, you have the Wise Wingman within that group as well. There's so many different accountability partners in this journey and any journey you're going through, whether it's financial freedom, weight loss, new career paths, whatever goal you are setting for yourself, you can always find a built-in community somewhere online or within your own community at home to support you. There's always people there ready to go. But I think it's also very important, besides all of those things, it's important to have an accountability partner that is a part of your daily life. While the Wise Wingmen are amazing, and I find them inspirational and supportive, even though I'm not on this journey, their determination inspires me every day. Every time I read their posts, it's amazing. But I also think it's very important to have someone day to day who knows you, not the online version of you, not the Weight Watcher you, but you, knows your triggers, knows you in and out, to help you on this journey. I know one of the hardest things as a spouse, friend, significant other, an accountability partner for somebody, whoever that is knowing what to say, when to say it, or when not to say anything at all. When Mike was on his journey the first time and was determined to lose the weight to save his military career, which he's been very open about that part of his journey, we actually sat down and talked, and he's like, what I need you to do is this. When this happens, I need you to say this. And we had this understanding of if he was reaching in the pantry while I was making dinner for a handful of M&Ms, as I think you said in your email, I'd be like, dinner will be ready in 5 minutes. And sometimes he'd be like, right. And he'd put them back. And other times he'd be like, I know that, I'm eating them anyway. And I knew when he said that, we were not discussing it that day for whatever reason he wanted to have them. So I think it's really important to, we hear so often people send an email or in Wise Wingmen, or when we meet people out and about, when Mike was doing the tour, saying, well, you're so lucky you have a supportive spouse. He helped me to help him. He helped teach me how to be supportive in the way that he needed. The way that I was supportive to him may not be supportive to others. If I walked into one of your homes and did all the same things I did with Mike, it may not be helpful to you at all. So we kind of had to work together as a team to find what worked. And in our home, what worked was me having set meals that we knew the points of, him telling me at lunchtime what he had left for points, and us planning the meals accordingly so that we were eating the same thing as a family. If he would have had to eat separate meals, I think, and you can speak to this, but I think that would have been harder for you because you would have felt like you weren't doing what we were doing. You weren't part of what we were doing. So we worked together to really try to find a plan that worked, a way that we could communicate about this goal he had without frustrating him. Similarly, when I was in school and getting my master's and I was in grad school and I was so frustrated and so overwhelmed, and there were certain things he could say that would help me to calm down, refocus, do what I need to do. And there were other things that he would say that I'd be like, that is not helpful. So we had to learn to, you have to kind of train the people in your life how to best be your partner in that situation. And we've known each other since we were 14. We know each other pretty well, but this was a new area for us. This was a new journey that we were on for the first time. And I think it's very important, instead of shutting out those closest to you, regardless of what your situation is, to try and find someone that you trust, that you can be open with, and help teach them how to help you.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be someone who lives with you. That's ideal, sure, right? But we certainly know there's plenty of folks who are out there listening that just don't have the luxury of someone living with them that can provide the level of support they need. But yeah, I remember, it's funny when you talked about the pantry thing. I remember telling you, hey, if you see me grabbing a bag of chips, please remind me. And I remember getting mad at you for telling me. And you're like, dude, you told me to say that to you. And I'm like, yeah, well, I told you that when I was in a good frame of mind. Right. I'm not in a good frame of mind right now. So therefore, I don't want to hear it from you, which is totally unfair to you, but you were such a trooper. And you're like, okay, this isn't a personal attack on me. This is, his frustration coming out in through the belly, I guess, or, right. or whatever. Right.
Your belly was affecting your brain. Sometimes that happens. We can't think straight when we're hungry.
No, exactly. So, but no, excellent points. And so, it goes to all of us, right? You've got to ask for help. I don't think there's a scenario where we can do anything alone. I think we almost always need someone somewhere to help us as a mentor. And I think that's what, this community does for each other. We provide that level of support, and, if you haven't seen it yet, hop into the Discord group. I'm trying to get that grown up to the point where that becomes this instant place where you can reach out and get someone to help you and say, hey, help, dinner's cooking or dinner's thing. And then there's almost always someone who can respond in real time. It's a lot different than Facebook. It's a lot different than Twitter and Instagram, because it's solely focused on just this piece, just this piece of the journey, where it's just us, right? There's, again, no ads, no commercials, no all that good stuff. So,
and it's broken down into categories, which makes it quick and easy. If it's a food question, if it's an exercise question, you can go right to a group that can really help you provide you with some really good tips and pointers for that.
I'm testing it right now, where I think the folks who are in there, if they're listening, I think they can hear us live right now. I think that's
awesome.
I'm not 100% sure it's working. I see Connie's in there and Bobby's in there and Diane's in there. I'm not sure if they can actually hear us at this moment or not, but I'm testing that. And so my plan is, a lot of you have asked me, how do we get back to the live show portion? Because that was fun as a community. We enjoyed that. And I want to get back to that as well. But right now, that was always the stressful side of this journey. Even like today, we came in here this morning at 10 o'clock this morning to get things going. It is now 7 p.m. and we're getting the show recorded. So, when technology doesn't answer the way we're supposed to, it just frustrates us. And I think that's indicative of our journey. Not everything's going to go as planned. It's just intentionally plan for things to not go well. And then go back to the water heater scenario. It's like, wait, things may not go well shortly. And if they don't go well, do I have an option to do something different? And, and Cathy, you've got this thing. And I'm super duper proud of you for digging back in and fighting back like a champion to say, no, this is important to me. I want to do this. I am going to do this, and I'm willing to fight to get back to that picture that I know is who I am, and those clothes that I used to wear, or the health feeling that I can feel, because I want to get back to that, because that's what's important to me. So
all goes back to living deliberately. Making choices every day that get you to where you want to be. And that doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean every single decision every single day is perfect and flawless. It just means in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme of things, you're making that deliberate decision to live deliberately every day.
Yeah, I got to hang that up. And so far, nothing's hanging in this office. But that's the one thing when we sold the house and liquidated everything. That was a very deliberate decision, right? That was something we did intentionally. But one of the things I kept, and man, I apologize profusely. Somebody gave me that at my retirement, and I honestly forgot who it came from. But there's a sign that hung above my old office that says, to live deliberately.
It's a piece of like rough wood, kind of. It's very cool.
And it's the one thing that I'm like, no, that's going with us, right? And that's the one thing I want to hang in this office too, because that has just been kind of been my mantra. So I apologize if that was you. Certainly shoot in and let me know. Again, it's okay. I can't remember. There's a handful of you who I could guess who it came from, but I don't want to guess incorrectly. But we got to live deliberately. We got to go fight for it. We've got to take the bull by the horns, as the kind of analogy goes. And if we're not actively focused on losing or maintaining our health, I'll even say, if we're not actively focused on that, then what are we actively focusing on? Or what are we passively focusing on? And so our journeys, folks, hey, listen, for most of us, our natural state, if you're listening to this podcast, right, your natural state is to quote unquote overeat. It's to overindulge. It's to stress eat. It's to boredom eat. It's to not work out. That's our natural state. That's who we are as that's kind of where we got programmed. So in order to beat that programming, we have to actively do something different about it. And that's what this journey is all about, reminding each other we can actively do it. We're going to actively do it. It's just one step at a time.
Right. And I don't remember the quote exactly, but I love it. Something to the effect of, the road of life is paved with flat squirrels who had good intentions. Be deliberate, make a decision. Don't go back and forth and question yourself and doubt it. Make a decision and just do it. Stick with it and go at it.
Yeah.
Full force.
If it doesn't work, then you can then make another plan from there.
Right.
Right.
Can always run back across the road the other way.
Yeah, but don't go back and forth. You get out of the road first, right? Commit to going across the road.
Right. All the way.
Yeah. If you need to go back the other way, you can, but don't commit to going across the road and then go to the middle of the road and then go back to the edge and then go back. No, right?
Right. Because that's how I total cars. Avoiding squirrels.
Yeah, you absolutely do. So, so Cathy, again, thank you for your email. For the rest of the folks out there, go ahead, write in onair@fatdag.com. We'll talk to you. We'll kind of tell you what we're thinking, tell you how we can help if we can help. I told Janine just before we started recording just now, I said, one of the things I've always tried to do, not real good at it sometimes, but one of the things I've always tried to do is just listen and don't come across as saying, hey, you need to do this and you need to do this and you need to do this, because I think we all know what we need to do. We need to hear it, that, have someone listen to us, and really we just need to hear someone kind of walk through it and say, hey, you know what, let me figure out what I need to do. Just kind of give me some clues and some pointers, and I'll figure out the part that works best for me. Because if I sit here and say, do this, 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 and this, and you can't do 3 of those for whatever reason, it's like someone tell me, well, Mike, just eat broccoli. Well, okay, well, I can't, period. I know that sounds silly, but I just physically can't. And so you putting that as part of my plan and you give me that as advice, it's just unhelpful. So that's where Janine comes in for me and say, she knows my limitations. And so, so she doesn't sit there and say, hey, Mike, you should try eating more broccoli. Well, actually, no, wait, you did last night. You offered me broccoli last night at dinner.
I did. I saved you a piece, but just now you talking about it, you were gagging a little bit just talking about it. You really cannot handle it.
Broccoli and I are never going to be friends. Can we just leave it at that? We
need to find that video and let that resurface. Negative. You trying broccoli for the first time.
No.
It was amazing.
No, I think it's on Facebook somewhere. You can find it. But anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up. I know you guys are busy. You're out walking. Hopefully you're out getting some activity. You're doing something fun. Let's start sharing that a little more. Share it in the Discord group. There's a group for walking. There's a group for cycling. There's a group for tracking. Share it in there. I want to just get active with each other and remind each other, especially this time of year, right? November becomes a challenging year for a challenging month for a lot of us. We roll right into the holiday season. I want you to know that you have a family here, right? You have friends here, you have connections here, you have people here who understand everything you're going through. It may not to the extent that you're going through them, but I've seen so many different versions of this go around that so many of us have a lot going on. And, I talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts too, but, Andy Andrews says something along the lines of, if we could sit around in a circle and we could write down all of our problems and you could write them down on a piece of paper and throw them into the middle of the circle. But the catch is you have to leave with one. You can't leave without any problems because everybody has something they've got to carry. As you start opening up these pieces of paper to read these problems, looking for something you want to take with you, more often than not, you would start then realizing quickly you're much better off finding your own and taking that back with you. There's a lot of us going through a lot of things. And I want you to know that we're here for you. The community is here for you. And we will walk this journey with you every single step of the way. If not, somebody in the community is there to do that for you. So you don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to fight alone. You have the entire team to do it. We know it's difficult, right? Trust me, I know it's difficult, but I know it takes focus. It takes deliberate action. It takes you saying, I want to do this. I want to fight, just like Cathy said, and I'm going to get it done. So on behalf of Lisa and Heather, the producers, Jeannie and I signing out here, we wish you good focus.